Many Indian creators operate under the assumption that the internet is a controlled environment. They navigate their careers by performing fabricated personas, treating public engagement like a high-stakes strategy game. Samay Raina leaned into this by cultivating a cynical, intentionally unlikable image. By presenting himself as a villain from the start, he aimed to lower public expectations and create a layer of insulation against moral outrage. This strategy extended to his unscripted show, India's Got Latent. While the live recordings were 5-hour sessions of unscripted chaos, Raina used the editing process to sanitize the footage, releasing only the safest 60 minutes to his audience. During one edit, Raina chose to leave in an offensive joke made by a guest, Beer Biceps. He calculated that because the guest normally maintained a pristine spiritual image, the sheer shock of the contrast would be seen as harmlessly absurd. Raina uploaded the episode from a hotel room overlooking the Seattle skyline. He was in the middle of a sold-out U.S. tour, feeling secure in his role as the digital provocateur. That sense of security relied on the belief that digital actions remain digital. But when the shield of a persona fails, the distance between a creator and their audience evaporates. The response was immediate. Within 48 hours, the podcast moved from a Twitter trend to a national news cycle, where media anchors framed the content as an active danger to the nation's youth. The pressure quickly escalated into state-level action. High-ranking politicians intervened, and first information reports, or FIRs, were filed against the creators in multiple states. This wasn't a virtual threat. Units of the Assam police were deployed to raid an address linked to Raina's old college, surprising the students who were currently living there. The violence reached the show's collaborators in Mumbai. Mobs vandalized the comedy club where the episodes were filmed, and the elderly parents of the crew were harassed by political activists at their homes. Raina's psychological state deteriorated rapidly. Isolated in his hotel room between shows, he suffered severe panic attacks and began consuming excessive amounts of sleep medication to block out the reality of the situation. The provocateur persona was gone. Stripped of his cynicism, Raina broke down during a video call with his mother, sobbing as the physical consequences of his digital work became unavoidable. When digital outrage reaches this scale, it ceases to be about engagement metrics. It uses the machinery of the state and the mob to bridge the gap between a screen and a home. Searching for a way forward, Raina called his father. He stayed on the line for over an hour, looking for validation but finding a perspective rooted in a much older, harsher form of crisis. His father was a Kashmiri Pandit who had lived through the targeted violence of the 1990 Exodus. In his world, a crisis was measured by the loss of life and homeland, not a controversy on a screen. He told his son about the gunshots fired at their family home and the necessity of fleeing the valley overnight to ensure the family's survival. He rebuilt their lives in Hyderabad through decades of relentless labor. He drove a modest Maruti 800 and didn't take a single sick day for nearly 10 years, focusing entirely on affording his son a future. The father used emotional suppression as a survival strategy. To him, the loss of a comedy show was a manageable setback compared to the total erasure of a community's home. In this generational context, resilience isn't found in performative defiance. It is found in the quiet, pragmatic effort to keep a family safe and moving forward. Raina flew back to India in a state of high anxiety. He fully expected to be arrested the moment he touched down in Mumbai. However, the news cycle had already shifted. By the time he landed, the media's attention had moved to a different comedian's controversy, allowing Raina to enter the country without immediate police interference. Despite the shift in public focus, the legal process continued. Raina was called to a Mumbai police station for interrogation, where he was given a choice: apologize for the offense or face escalating legal charges. Raina considered the words of George Orwell, the idea that every joke represents a tiny revolution and should be defended as an act of free speech. But the FIRs carried a physical power that Orwellian ideals could not counter. The legal system had the capacity to dismantle his career and his family's peace in ways that no digital debate could resolve. He relied on the wisdom he had inherited from his father. You only fight when the fight is fair. Raina chose to apologize. He decided to swallow his pride and provide the necessary statements to the police, prioritizing the safety of his family over the performance of digital martyrdom. The internet, the fame, and the outrage are temporary systems. The only reality worth protecting is the one found offline: your sanity, your family, and the pragmatism required to survive.